the deepest and central concern of being alive as human beings is this deep wish to free ourselves from the places where we feel homeless or disconnected or separated from love and kindness, confused, doubting, pulled from the not wanting things to be there where they are to wanting things to be where they are. And I feel so deeply appreciative that the Buddha was so clear, not because there aren't many other spiritual practices that have been so helpful for me, and political practices, the feminist movement, the queer liberation movement, the anti-racist movement, and all the ways that we have been, or some of us in our different ways, active in acknowledging the preciousness of our lives and of others' lives. And the Buddha is so clear that the central concern are the ways, naming the ways where we are not at home, where we are caught in energies that shut down the heart and the mind and the body. The consequence of which is that we feel lost and at the mercy of habitual dynamics that have no truth to them. There's habitual ideas that have no truth to them. So we hear in this commitment, whether we've named it this way or in another way, we're here to say, no, I want to embody myself in a way that honors myself and all of life. That encompasses the refuges that were offered by Ian and the hindrances that were, the precepts rather, that were offered by Booker, the antidote to the hindrances. And our own heart's wishes, however we name that. In this understanding, the Buddha gave a central teaching called the Satipatthana Sutta, or the four foundations of mindfulness. And he said, key to this process is the cultivation. Remember, I said that right at the beginning yesterday, is the cultivation of mindfulness, this particular quality of mind that lives inside of us that we can awaken and strengthen and support. And he said, if we cultivate this energy in an ongoing way, that the ending of suffering will happen, that it is consequential in the same way that there are laws of physics. If you heat up air in a container, then the pressure increases. It's a physical law. So this is also the law of the mind. And so then let's reconsider, if you've been considering mindfulness a lot over the years, or let's as a community now consider, well, what is it? What is that word? And I wanted to give an example of it because it's October and that's the month my mom died 4 years ago. She had a stroke. And when I flew back to Cape Town, she had lost consciousness. And because they thought she was going to die soon, they sent her back home, and my sisters and I were there. And luckily for me, in a way, she lived for 17 days more without food or water. It was amazing. And I noticed through those days that I had no wish other than to be fully there with her. That I wanted to give her that gift of saying, I'm here and I'm caring. And I don't know exactly where your consciousness is, but I want you to know that I'm right here in whatever mystical way we're connected and loving you. That presence, that non-preferential presence and willingness to be there and to be interested, not just to be there in some kind of, I don't know, like be here now and what does that mean? Like noticing what's happening to her. We had to change and roll her every 2 hours so there weren't bed sores that developed. So noticing what was happening. Noticing when she seemed a little uncomfortable. Stroking her, I sang to her, which there was no way she would have let me sing to her if she had been conscious, but singing to her, like there, noticing what was happening, responding to it, changing her position, wiping her down, changing her nappy, being alert to what was happening and meeting that, just like, oh, this is what's happening, this is what's needed. So this mindfulness or alertness, this embodied presence that notices moment to moment, half an hour to half an hour, oh, this is what's happening, this is what is calling or being required of me. And it might be for me in that situation, noticing when my attention started to flag and saying, okay, I have to take a break. I have to go for a walk, and call my sister and say, can you take over? Or sitting with her and thinking, should we call the doctor in? This is like days and days. Should we just get a check-in? So responding, alert, present, knowing the details of the situation. So just to end that with, I felt we, in the realm we were in, came to closure, because that is the gift of giving our presence, whether it is to another human being or directly and fully to ourselves. That's what the Buddha means when he says suffering comes to an end, that there's closure to the suffering. Because mindfulness has the capacity to discern, to know what needs to be done. And without that, there isn't the capacity. And we see that in not only within ourselves, but in the political world, the incapacity to know what needs to be done to alleviate suffering, how key and central that is. And that's why this work is so important, not only to save our one and precious life, as Mary Oliver says, but to contribute to saving the precious life of this world and our communities by discerning, not because someone tells us, by directly ourselves what needs to be addressed. Another way to talk about it that a great scholar, Analio, says is to bear witness or to stand by. Can I stand by myself? Stand near to myself, bearing witness to this life, knowing it as it unfolds. And can I do that in a way that isn't driven by judgment, preference, of giving ourselves the freedom to be where we are without judging ourselves or rejecting ourselves because we don't like it and we want something else. And that invitation means that we will be noticing our judgments and preferences over and over again, and we'll be noticing intimately and directly the effect of them and how much they shut us down and take us away from that caring embodiment, that knowing, that bearing witness, that companioning. And we learn by experiencing it over and over again. And it's that experiencing over and over again that gives us the support and energy to begin to renounce those energies, renounce believing them, renounce supporting them, so that we can come back more and more out of those habitual realms into an intimate connection with our life. And as that coming back happens increasingly, the mind begins to unify, is less distracted. And that unification becomes the foundation and clarity for deepening insight. So that's the path we are on, and there is something so deep in our presence here when we say, I feel so moved to dedicate myself to this practice, and so moved that we are doing it to support each other, that I'm not alone, that you're here, and that actually supports us in really beautiful and important ways, that we're on this path together. In this framing of mindfulness, then, we can actually be mindful of any experience, whether it's on the toilet or brushing our teeth or going for a walk or putting on our clothes, because there's always an experience to become intimate with and connected to. So meditation is a particular way, sort of like going to the gym and working on weights or on a machine. It's a particular structure that helps us to be mindful all the time. That's the larger invitation. And the Buddha invited us to be particularly mindful of 4 areas. And the first area he invited to be mindful of is the body. And it can be a wonderful grounding for us, like an anchor of a ship in a stormy ocean where the ship might be moved by the currents here and there and everywhere, which is like our mind, to have this anchor of, oh, I have a body. And to connect with the places of the body, especially at the beginning, that might be neutral rather than painful or difficult. Maybe earlobes, or the tip of the nose, or the feeling of having hair, wherever there's less pain, more ease, or even what is pleasant about the body. So we can connect with the body sensations, or we could connect with taste, the taste on your tongue right now from maybe having eaten or drunk something, or the smell that's in the room that you're in, or the touch of clothes against your skin, that touch, soft maybe. And then many people find the breath to be a really easy anchor to keep coming back to, the movement of the in-breath and the out-breath. So that's one of the main anchors. Listening can be another one. Hearing the sounds, and maybe you notice in this moment as you're hearing the vibration of the eardrum. And then what happens when there isn't that vibration? So for today and tomorrow, the invitation is to stay close to our bodies as an anchor in any of these particular expressions, whichever is most accessible. And we'll be offering movement. Mel and Booker will be offering movement, and they'll say a little bit more about that at the end of the this morning's session. As another way to find our gateway into being present, alert, caring. Having said that, I want to just say one more thing around that, which is when I say present, alert, and caring, if you're like, oh, forget it, what is she talking about? Then notice that there isn't anything that doesn't deserve our acknowledgement and presence and bearing witness. If there's no caring, then we're present with no caring. If there's irritation, we're caring with no irritation. With irritation. So let's try it on for this the rest of this practice. Time. And maybe you would like to begin by appreciating yourself, that this is what you're doing, intending. Perhaps in your own words, you've heard mine, or just in the ways your being is oriented towards yourself in this moment, and acknowledging that. Appreciating that. There might be a way that we can release a little more into the support that the chair or cushion is offering us. I had the image of sitting by my mother. Perhaps there's an image that awakens presence for you. I'm here. Opening to the aliveness that is in the body. Vibration, sensation. Taking a moment to listen into the environment we're sitting in or lying down in. Allowing the next in-breath and companioning it through its beginning, middle, and end. And how the out breath follows, always. And the beginning of the in-breath again. Wherever you feel it most comfortably or clearly. Not so much going in with your eyes, but giving space for the body to experience the breath in the field of awareness. It's not so much I am aware, but awareness arises with the breath. So we can relax and feel the calling into connection, into knowing the breath, long or short. Smooth or rough. Just like the life of a river meandering or rushing, not right or wrong. Or if you want to scan the body, noticing the aliveness in different parts of the body. Caring. Breath is life. Body is life. When other things arise, thoughts, emotions, acknowledging them, and if you can, returning to your anchor. Building stability and non-distraction. Breathing in, I know I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know I'm breathing out. Thank you. So for some of us, we're going to go into group interviews, and for some of us, they'll be walking. And Ian is going to give more detailed